Good morning, and thank you for joining us for our 2021 Martin Luther King Day Assembly. In his most famous speech, Dr. Martin Luther King dreamed that his 4 little children would one day live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. What is character? Merriam-Webster defines character as the attributes and features that make up and distinguish an individual. These are simple words for a complex idea. Character is who you are at your core. It is the set of traits and decisions that define your integrity, your ideology, and your purpose. Today, we honor Dr. Martin Luther King and his dream by asking the question, what is the character of our nation? What do our collective actions and aspirations say about who we are as a country? What is the value of education, diversity, community, and determination in a country that Dr. Martin Luther King and so many others believed had the potential to be better than it is? It has been 53 years since Martin Luther King's death, and his fight is still not over. Today, and every day moving forward, we will continue that fight. The fight for peace, equality, and the fight to end systemic racism and reform the character of our nation. Now before we begin, please join me in a moment of silence for our national anthem.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I'm slowly drifting to you. So stars and planets are calling me. A billion years away from you. I'm on my way. I'm on. I'm on.
Intelligence plus character, that is the true goal of education. Written into the Morehouse College student paper in 1947, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words still ring true today. Now, the question we want to ask is, what is the education system doing to properly nurture the youth and develop the character of the next generation, and how effective is it? Now, here to speak on his experiences in the education system, we welcome Mr. Diggins.
Good morning. This is Mr. Diggins, ELA and AVID teacher. I would like to share my takeaway about Martin Luther King Jr.'s ideas about education and how they apply to us here at Decatur. In the February 1947 edition of the Maroon Tiger, the Morehouse College student newspaper, Martin Luther King Jr. wrote a piece called The Purpose of Education. He believed intelligence plus character is the true goal of education. The complete education gives one not only power of concentration, but worthy objectives upon which to concentrate. The broad education will, therefore, transmit to one not only the accumulated knowledge of the race, but also the accumulated experience of social living. It amazes me when I think about what students would accomplish if everyone was on the same page, moving in the same direction when it comes to this idea of the complete education. I feel fortunate to have had some amazing teachers that didn't just believe this, but lived it every day through their teaching. Why fortunate? Well, for a while, I thought it was because I didn't think much of myself back in those days. But the reality of the situation is, I just didn't see a lot out there for me because I wasn't really shown what's out there for me. Outside of what those few amazing teachers gave me, I went into college on a blind leap of faith and somehow made it work. Growing up in Federal Way, going through all levels of grade school here, figuring out my path, then coming back to have the opportunity to pay it all forward, I'm in awe that so many kids, no different from me and my peers, are stuck in the same exact cycle of chance. Throughout my 6 years here at Decatur, it didn't hit me until within the last couple years how uncommon I am in this profession. I'm a black, male ELA teacher. I don't fit the mold. I didn't have my first black teacher until I was in college. None of the people I draw inspiration from for teaching look like me. After that time bomb went off, I realized what my responsibility was. Every year that I get to do this, I potentially get to be the first black male teacher for another 150 or so kids. And I get to show them that's all right. That's more than all right. Sometimes you don't need to fit the mold. Sometimes you need to make the mold fit you. And that's the exact belief I try to teach, which is how I live Martin Luther King Jr.'s words through my teaching. Every student should understand and have confidence that their intelligence and character are in our best interest. Every student deserves the complete education so they can see for themselves what's out there for them. Every student deserves this broad education so they can have the accumulated experience of social living. So, how do we get there? Time, effort, and dedication. To the leaders of Decatur, it's important to learn the strengths of our population so we can bring in things to increase their opportunities. To the educators of Decatur, it's important to learn our students' strengths through all observations, work, conversation, how they handle different situations, so we can empower them every chance that we get. It's all about what can become. And to the students of Decatur, it's important to learn your strengths as well as what you have to gain from your peers, so that you're in a setting where you're regularly tapping into your potential. It takes everybody on the same page, moving in the same direction. And that's how we can make education mean what it's supposed to mean. Thank you for your time.
Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. An important topic for the next generation, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that when we as a society stop speaking against the problems that plague us, we are bound to fail. Here to speak about how our struggles and perseverance shape our character, we have Selena Lamb.
Hello, my name's Selena. For those who don't know who I am, I'm a junior here at Decatur High School. I apologize if I look down. It's because all my notes are on my computer, but I'm pretty sure everyone is aware of the events that took place on Wednesday. If not, there was a mob of protesters that stormed into the Capitol building, and only 52 out of over 1,000 plus protesters were arrested that day. I want to compare that to the Black Lives Matter protests that were taking place earlier in June. And for those who don't get it, when we say Black Lives Matter, we are not saying that only Black Lives Matter. We are saying that Black lives are more endangered compared to others, and that our lives should matter just as much as everybody else's. When we protest, it's to be able to live our lives without fear of being killed because of our skin. It's to be able to carry a Subway sandwich like Carrie Gibson wasn't able to. It's to be able to go on a jog like Ahmaud Arbery wasn't able to. It's to be able to sleep in our own homes like Breonna Taylor wasn't able to. They protested on Wednesday because they didn't get their way. Do you see the difference? When Black Lives Matter was peacefully protesting, we were shot with rubber bullets, tear gassed, arrested, etc. But Trump supporters who stormed into a Capitol building after losing an election, they were not shown the same attitude that we were. As Ta-Nehisi Coates says in his book, Between the World and Me, in America, it is tradition to destroy the black body. It is heritage. Black people have been demeaned going all the way back to the 1600s, maybe prior. The demeaning of black people is carved into our everyday systems, like the school system, where European history is taught as a major and African as an elective, where we only learn about our history 28 days like we're not black every single day of our life. Like in the justice system, where black people are 40% more likely to receive longer sentences for the same exact offenses that a white person could commit. As many of you may know, Martin Luther King had a dream. He had a dream that his 4 beautiful little children would be able to live in a nation where they would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Isn't it sad how 60 years later his dream still hasn't came true? White privilege has been a prevalent factor in this country for years, and the whole country witnessed it in one of its biggest forms on Wednesday. We are tired of these systems coming at the demise of black people, indigenous people, Hispanic people, Asian people. It is time for this country to change. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, all these people didn't put in all this work for us to be stuck in the same situation 60 years later. We cannot let all the work that they put in be in vain. It is our turn to make a change in this country. And I don't know about everybody else, but I'm ready to do so. Thank you.
A common phrase said by many Americans is that we are more divided than ever. But have we ever been united? The United States is comprised of 11 distinctly separate cultural regions that are in a constant battle for political and social supremacy. Greater than our regional differences, we are made up of 6 different races and ethnic groups, and even more specifically, they are in an estimated 110 sub-ethnic groups. As the U.S. is made up of diversity, we will now hear from members of some of Decatur's diversity clubs and how they perceive the character of our nation.
At Latinx Club, we believe the character of our nation is damaged and broken. To improve the character of our nation, we must better our educational systems, teach things that are not being taught in schools, and educate ourselves and our community.
In SOAR, Students' Organization Against Racism, we believe that the ideal character of our nation will be achieved when everyone, irregardless of race, class, or place of origin, is assured equal opportunities and rights. To reach this ideal, we must recognize these systems and cultures of oppression through education and activism, and unite our country against racism.
At BSU, we believe that character defines you and how you're represented in society. To improve our nation's character, we need to work together to better understand each other and improve how we are all represented in society.
Hey Gators, thank you for your attention today. In light of the information we have seen, we would like to provide you with a few key takeaways for this assembly.
Systemic racism and white supremacy are problems that affect everyone, even if it appears differently for each individual. The many racial issues we face as a nation are not independent from one another. They are structural and institutional. It is time to reframe the narrative of our education and development.
We hope that you will consciously educate yourself and take actions to unite those around you. Ask difficult questions and have difficult conversations, then reach out to your community and learn what you can do to help.
We cannot enact change until we are willing to admit that the character of our nation is flawed and often bigoted. Reflect on where your role is in your family and community. Reflect on how your mindsets can negatively impact those who are different from you, and reflect on how your character contributes to the character of our nation.
As you leave this assembly, remember that while our nation may feel more socially and politically polarized than ever, there is still hope in the fight that continues. In the words of MLK, we are still marching and we are still moving.